Hey guys, Ethanator here, and as you can see we have completed the Fusion 480 build, or 550 in this case. So all that's left now is installing the electronics and getting all the linkage rods set up and making sure they're the correct length, which is what we're going to be doing in this video, so check it out. Okay, so what I like to do first before I start installing anything is I like to make sure that the servos are neutral and we can go ahead and install the arms and get them ready to mount. So in a normal instance, we would have to hook up the servo to the receiver, bind it all up, just make sure everything is neutral. This is where the Smart Checker comes in handy, as it has a built-in servo tester. This is really useful because you don't have to worry about going out of your way, getting the receiver hooked up, bounce up, everything like that. We can just go ahead and focus on the actual servo centering. So we can actually take our flight pack that we'll be using and we can actually go ahead and hook it up like so. It'll come down to an IC3 connector, which we can plug into the Smart Checker. We can go ahead to the servo testing, and this is where we can plug up our servo right into the side here. As you can see, it centers it up. You can go full deflection either one way or the other way, or you can even pulse it, make it move like that. But in this instance, we'll just be centering it, so we can go ahead and make sure it's centered. Now that we know our servo's centered, we can go ahead and install the arm and prepare the servo to mount to the helicopter. As you can see, I just laid out all of the parts that came from the bag with the servo. It comes with the servo horn, all the grommets needed to mount the servo. So let's go ahead and do that. These screws right here will be used for mounting the servo to the airframe. However, we are going to set these aside because we're not ready to mount them just yet. Okay, so locate this bag full of the ball links and the nuts. These are going to be used to install the ball links on the servos. So for the cyclic servos, they're going to be going on this outermost hole like so. So let's go ahead and screw this in, and then we'll put the nut on the other side and make sure it's secure. So as you can see, this servo is fully assembled and ready to mount to the airframe. Let's go ahead and repeat this for the other two cyclic servos and the tail servo. Take note that whenever you install the ball link on the tail servo, you want it to be in the middle hole as opposed to the outer hole like the cyclic servos. This one's just a little bit different. It's going to line up better if it's in the middle hole. Okay guys, as you can see, the servos are all assembled and they're ready to be mounted into the helicopter. Go ahead and locate these servo mounting spacers, as these are going to be used to install the servos onto the airframe. Okay, so the cyclic servos are now installed. Let's move on to installing the tail servo. Okay, so locate these two mounts for the tail servo. These will be used to mount the servo to the frame. As you can see, I got the cyclic servos and the tail servo installed, and I got the wires routed towards the back where the Flybarless unit's going to be. I haven't zip tied anything yet. That's going to be in a later step. Right now I'm just getting all the wires towards the back. Okay, so next we'll be installing and wiring up the ESC. Keep in mind that before you install it onto the airframe, make sure that the motor's spinning the right way. If it is spinning backwards, you can reverse any 2 wires on the ESC to make it spin correctly. As you can see, I'm using 4 zip ties in total. I got 3 to hold the wires against the frame so they're not moving in flight. And then I also have a zip tie going around the ESC to hold it in place. As you can see, it's coming around the other side. And I went ahead and put on the straps. One thing that I did notice is if you want to use the blade straps, you will have to turn this plate around. As you can see, I got the blade logo up at the top now. This is the way that the plate should go on. As you can see, the straps fit in there better. Okay, so for this step, we'll be attaching the Flybarless unit. As you can see, I got most of the wires routed through the frame coming out the back, and I'm going to be cleaning that up once I install the Flybarless unit. Let's go ahead and mount the Flybarless unit. So now we have everything wired up. As you can see, I did use a 6-inch extension for the ESC wire just to scoot it back just a little bit more so then everything can come up clean like so. So let's go ahead and move on to the linkage rods. So as you can see, we have 5 linkage rods in total. These are going to go from the servos to the swash plate, and these are going to go from the main blade grips to the swash plate. You are going to want to take some calipers and measure out these rods. These should roughly be 68 millimeters, and then these should be roughly 55 millimeters. Just go ahead and measure those out, get them as close to that measurement as possible, and then obviously you'll be adjusting them just a little bit to get a level swash and make sure that your blade tracking is good on the head. So let's go ahead and get these installed onto the helicopter. Okay, all that's left is setting up the tail control rod. Let's go ahead and do that. So once you have the ball links of the tail control rod attached and the servo is centered, you're going to want to adjust the rod to make this as 90 as possible. Okay, so now all that's left is to slide this metal sleeve into the tail control rod guide, and then you're going to clamp it down with the screw. So yeah guys, as you can see, all the linkage rods are attached, and pretty much all that's left now is attaching the blades and setting up the Flybarless unit. Thank you so much for tuning into this build series. I had a blast building this helicopter. It was probably one of the easiest, bigger kits that I've ever built. Blade laid everything out very well, and I'm super excited to hear what you guys think about the Fusion 480. Stay tuned for some flying videos in the future. Once I get this helicopter dialed in, I'll go ahead and share my settings with you. Thanks for watching this build series, and I'll see you at the flying field.